मैं किसी से बात कर रही थी उस दिन and I said that now if you want to have an affair you got so many options you know there's Insta, there's the various apps that
dating
are available
apps.
The dating apps ABCDE, let's call them ABCDE. कहाँ ये 20 years पहले तो कुछ नहीं था. I actually had to have a physical meeting with someone. Now वो तो ज़माना ही ऐसा लगता है कि वो बाबा आदम का ज़माना है. Income is much higher, he has to give higher. India में Mother India is Mother India, so it is the mother-in-law who is contributing to the breakdown of the marriage. There was no real fight per se, except that there was communication with, their exes were still their friends. A top-notch actress listened to your soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law that, no, I think this is what you need to be doing. No, why should I be doing this? Now, do you want to do this even now?
Hi, मैं हूं नेहा बजाज and you're watching me on Zoom. और वैसे तो शादी सीजन चल रहा है और कहते हैं कि मैचेस आर मेड इन हेवन, लेकिन कभी कभी मैचेस में हो जाती है बहुत सारी तकरार और तब हमें ज़रूरत पड़ती है डिवोर्स लॉयर्स की. और आज मेरे साथ है इंडिया टॉप मोस्ट डिवोर्स लॉयर एडवोकेट वंदना शाह, इज अ फैमिली एंड डिवोर्स लॉयर प्रैक्टिसिंग सिंस अ डेकेड, जो हमें कई सारी इंटरेस्टिंग बातें बताने वाली हैं. हेलो वंदना, वेलकम.
थैंक यू नेहा फॉर हैविंग मी ऑन द शो. एंड आप बोल रहे हैं मैचेस आर मेड इन हेवन, but they are also made and remade in on earth. हाँ, तो उसके लिए आपको डिवोर्स लॉयर की जरूरत पड़ती है.
Absolutely. अच्छा, मतलब मैं एकदम स्ट्रेट पॉइंट पे आना चाहती हूँ. सबसे पहली बात है कि हम फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट्स में या बड़े सारे हाई प्रोफाइल लोगों में डिवोर्स रेट बहुत ज्यादा देख रहे हैं.
बिल्कुल.
तो क्या ऐसी बात सच है, और अगर ऐसा है तो क्यों है? Why?
So actually it's true, there are a lot of increase in the number of divorces overall in India. Divorces काफी they are on the rise. Okay, now what happens is industrialists, Bollywood and other, now I will also say tech industry. Tech industries के भी CEOs are in the news for a lot of breakups. तो उनमें भी काफी divorce rates काफी high हो गए. I think इसका रीज़न एक तो ये है कि यू हैव ऑल द फैसिलिटीज इन द वर्ल्ड. ओके, तो यू गॉट मनी, यू गॉट फेम, यू गॉट कंफर्ट, लग्जरी. तो अगर आपकी ये पर्सनल लाइफ सेटिस्फाइड नहीं हो, सो यू फील व्हाई शुड आई पुट अप विद दिस, यू सी. सो हेंस यू हैव a higher number of divorces, maybe in the upper echelons of society. That's number one. And secondly, there is also a lot of media focus on it. So what happens, ये नहीं कि middle class में नहीं हो रहे divorces, middle class में भी हो रहे हैं, पर एक मीडिया फोकस इतना ज़्यादा है ऑन हाई प्रोफाइल नेचुरली, बिकॉज पीपल वांट टू नो कि उनकी लाइफ में क्या चल रहा है.
राइट.
नोबडी वांट्स टू नो कि आपके नेबरहुड में क्या चल रहा है, बट दे वांट टू नो कि बॉलीवुड में क्या चल रहा है, क्रिकेट में क्या चल रहा है, इंडस्ट्रियलिस्ट में क्या चल रहा है. So I feel that yes, there is a lot of interest, but there is also quite a high number of divorces over there. And reason for increased divorces, I think tolerance level लोगों में ख़त्म हो गई है. Nobody has tolerance anymore. And secondly, एक options, मैं किसी से बात कर रही थी उस दिन and I said that now if you want to have an affair you got so many options. There's Insta, there's the various apps that
dating
are available
apps.
The dating apps ABCDE, let's call them ABCDE. कहाँ ये 20 years पहले तो कुछ नहीं था. तो you actually had to have a physical meeting with someone. Now वो तो ज़माना ही ऐसा लगता है कि वो बाबा आदम का ज़माना है. So I feel that there are more options, less tolerance, and also in a way थोड़ा सा stigma around divorce has gone. थोड़ा कम हुआ है. I won't say it's completely wiped out. So a little bit the stigma has gone. So people feel that. And one big change that has happened is COVID. In COVID, you felt you only live once, that YOLO concept.
Yeah.
So the minute the YOLO concept came in, you were like, I don't need to put up with this. I've only got one life, don't know how long it will last. So let me at least be happy in my personal life. So just a few reasons for divorce.
ओके, सो वी हैव गॉट अ कपल ऑफ रीजंस फॉर डिवोर्स. एंड एक और चीज़ जो अक्सर मैंने भी देखी है, हम सब ने देखी है आजकल सोशल मीडिया पे भी हम देख रहे हैं कि यूजुअली एक्टर्स की हम बात करें, फिल्म इंडस्ट्री के कितने सारे लोगों की, हर कोई अगर एक डिवोर्स स्टेटमेंट इशू कर रहा है तो लिख रहा है इर्रिकंसाइलेबल डिफरेंसेस, क्या ये कौन से differences हैं? If you can elaborate on that.
Sure. So basically, legally speaking, these are differences कि आपने patch up किया है, and आप try कर चुके हैं. Basically, you're not being able to get along. Okay, and it is a somewhat a quasi-legal term. That आपने बहुत try किया है. You're trying to make up, and but in actuality, if you see, a lot of the differences may not be irreconcilable. Okay, irreconcilable. Okay, they are actually normal differences in a marriage.
कुछ आप जो बताना चाहें जो आपने देखी हो?
You see, I feel a lot of times they outgrow each other. You've been married for 15 years, 20 years. आपने इतना, maybe you're dating 10 years before that. With 35 years हो गए, so it becomes a very, very long marriage. So you outgrow each other. That is one thing I see. Of course, I see infidelity. The third thing I see is I must say what I don't see. I never see a difference in the love for the children. I never seen that till now for a reason for divorce. Then another reason that I see is that, they've just sort of tired of each other, outgrown each other. And also you found other partners who you can get along better with. I don't mean that they are already physically involved, but an emotional satisfaction with another partner becomes higher.
Okay.
So I see that which is happening, and recently there was a matter, in which the industrialist's wife has alleged that she was being domestically abused. Now that is a new angle which has come in. So, domestic abuse also, one always abuses and thinks that I'll associate abuse with a lower strata of society. But that's not true. Because you see a lot of domestic abuse, not so much physical, but a lot of mental and emotional domestic abuse in the upper stratum of society. So I feel, all these things also contribute, and these are the so-called or the actual differences, which is also known as an irretrievable breakdown of marriage, which I find is a better term. That now we cannot put this marriage back together.
Okay.
So that is what are known as these differences that can't be patched up.
Okay, so आपने हमें कई सारे differences बताए, लेकिन I want to know one thing, that particularly in film industry, is infidelity one of the major contributors that why people are filing for divorces, या ये बहुत बड़ा कारण है या ये only कारण है?
I think बड़ा कारण है. I don't think it is the only reason, because I think somewhat, I'm not in Bollywood, so I can't say that, I've experienced this. I've been handling a lot of cases. I think it is a contributing reason. I don't think it is the only reason. And I think also when you get out there to save face, it would be extremely embarrassing if you continue, let's say there is a husband and a wife, okay? They are living together, they are both superstars. Now suppose it comes out in the media that, both of them have been cheating on each other, okay? And they still continue to stay together. So there is also a public image to consider. There is also, one factor which no one talks about is an accountability to the public image. Not the public image. So अगर वो निकल आए कि ये तो दोनों ही cheat करते हैं, and they are both still together in the marriage, so maybe to salvage that also, I've heard that, Vandy, how can I continue staying in this marriage? People know that she's cheating on me, so how do I continue staying in this marriage? So that accountability also plays a role in that. But is infidelity the sole factor? No, it's not the sole factor. But it is a lot of boredom. I see that. And you sort of outgrow each other. And also you go so often on locations. And it's not, I'm a Fauji kid. My father also was out on postings. But over there, it was a different kind of a scenario. Here you are out with the opposite gender, obviously
and a good-looking one,
handsome, good-looking,
and with some great intimate scenes also.
Yeah, so it does add to it. After all, no one is a machine.
Yeah.
You are bound to, sort of feel some sort of a connection. So I think all that also then this comparison which comes in your mind, because also when you're out on location.
Between your spouse and a co-actor.
Absolutely. Because and the co-actor and the entire, it's kind of like what we say, an unnatural situation where everybody is caught up in this set. You're out of the city, so it's like a vacation.
Yeah.
And you never want to come back from a vacation. So it's that comparison also, and it highlights it. And then there is a breakdown of communication because you start talking to others. You don't bother communicating to your spouse and say, look, we really need to talk. Because I think those small differences have added up so much. I'm thinking of two couples as I say that, and suddenly you have third parties coming in and third party versions. And then what I call the Chinese whispers start. And it does lead to a divorce.
Okay. So that
It
happens.
does. It happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Okay. So, talking about a very famous couple, Natasha and Hardik Pandya and Natasha Stankovic. It was very unfortunate for the fans because we love them as a couple. And then we saw on Instagram that they're no more together.
Correct.
Due to whatever reasons. And rumor has it that, there were some reports that she claimed some of his assets and then he transferred some of the assets to his mother's name. So, if you could elaborate a bit on that and how often does that happen, or is it true, is it not?
So, you do know I don't take my clients' names on camera ever, So, I'll answer that question hypothetically. Okay, so let's say a man wants to not pay his wife alimony. Okay, let us assume his net worth is 100. Okay, and if his net worth is 100, he doesn't want to give his wife money, but the law says that you have to provide for the wife. Your basics you have to provide. So he could, let's say, if he shows that his income is much lesser than what it is. This I'm giving a very generic, picture. So if he shows his income is much lesser, then obviously he has to give lesser. If he shows his income is much higher, he has to give higher. Now, in this case, if we assume that he transferred out of 100, he transferred 90 to his mother's name. It is the daughter-in-law could claim, but it becomes very difficult. From the husband, of course, she can claim. So, but I always say that, a footballer's case that I was discussing with you, it also happened where he transferred his assets to his mother's name. So the wife couldn't claim. So perhaps there's some learning there. And like I always say, India Mother India is Mother India. So keep Mummy ji happy.
So we were discussing about the divorces and the Mother India factor.
Mother India factor.
So do you feel the mother-in-laws are also responsible for the divorces, or they are actually contributing?
Absolutely. Like there's a famous case which is in the news. I won't talk about it. But over there, they are saying that it is the mother-in-law who is contributing to the breakdown of the marriage. And there's one that I was looking at, and where the actor has moved on from one of his girlfriends because the mother didn't approve, and it was a very high-profile romance. And he's married someone else. So the mothers in India, they control a lot, So be it Bollywood, be it industrialists, be it all of us, who are not in Bollywood, who are not real celebrities, mothers, and I think your husband's mothers control a lot. I know so many cases, so many of them. Even one other industrialist family where the mother-in-law, the to-be mother-in-law didn't approve of the actress. That relationship was called off.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's happening. So I think that is a path you have to navigate very, very carefully.
So that's why you say that it's important to keep the mummy ji happy and
absolutely.
And rest everything is sorted.
Rest everything is sorted.
Okay. Particularly talking about the divorces in film industry, बहुत सारी बातें भी सुनने को मिलती हैं कि ये हुआ वो हुआ. I want to know about one case which actually took your peace of mind, which was extremely complicated. अगर आप, of course आप नाम नहीं ले रही हैं, but अगर आप कुछ बताना चाहें तो.
So you see, मैं 2-3 cases की बात करती हूँ. Okay, one case जहाँ पे उनमें there was no real fight per se. Okay, except that there was communication with, their exes were still their friends.
Okay, in film industry.
In the film industry. Okay, now that became a bone of contention. So for 3 years, I kept on working on what I call pre-litigation before we filed. Okay, there was not that much money to be looked at, and there was not any this thing. They had 3 children. Okay, so there was no problem with the children. They both loved their children. They were ready for access. They were ready for shared custody. But this thing, and the funny part is, both of them were not in touch with their exes in terms of a romance.
Okay.
They just had like an emotional connect. But
But nowadays, actors, I mean, people in film industry, even normal people are connected to their exes.
yeah, but no one talks about it. It can become a big bone of contention. That why are you still in touch with your exes? And I think when you are in a position of power, or in a position of, like I call about public accountability, the image that you put out, it makes a big difference. Because anytime you are caught talking to your ex who's also in the news, it just says, why is she talking to this son? And it doesn't take long to build up a headlines. So that was one case. Took me 3 years, and it was a lot of work. And at the end of it, I was happy because we put out a good statement, and everything went off really well. Another matter where the husband and wife both had moved on, okay, and the husband was not really seeing anyone. The wife was already seeing someone. Okay. So in that case, she was seeing someone, but she asked for a heavy alimony. And for a minute I was like, okay, but you're seeing someone, does he know about it? She says, yeah, he knows about it. So I was a little taken aback. I said, okay. So I said, so you still want me to put the figure? I said, because it can get tricky, because he might just turn around and say, hey, she's having an affair, I don't need to give her any money. But that didn't happen. But that took a lot of pre-litigation work. And he, what I call, before we file for divorce, all your negotiations, all your settlements, all your paperwork, and eventually he gave her a good enough alimony. So I thought that was pretty good. And another case, the divorce that didn't happen. I mean, both of them are actors. Okay, and a guy actor was going around he had a lot of multiple affairs. Wife moved out of the house, and she said, I want to file. And she spoke with me, and I said that, are you sure, are you this thing? And I said, let's get together with your family and we'll figure out if you still want to file. Because she was like, no, even my family supported. Okay, let's talk it out. So actually the family came in between, and they reconciled them.
Okay.
And they are still married. I won't say happily married or no, happily-ish. So let's put it like that. So these 3 matters, but they are a lot of work. So even a divorce that didn't happen, to get them to reconcile, that was a lot of work. But it was good. I'm always happy to bring about a reconciliation. Just because you're a divorce lawyer, doesn't mean that you can't reconcile people.
That's, yeah, I agree.
So I think that is also the spirit of, divorce is also about relationships. So if you can bring about a reconciliation. There was another couple where I felt the husband was an industrialist doing very well, and the lady was Bollywood, very small role, but quite a major TV actress. They had approached me, and they had one daughter, and I felt that, okay, they are quite a cute couple. You also look at them and say, okay, quite a cute couple. Why are they fighting? I found out only the relatives are adding all the mirch masala. You didn't get this. Why is he doing this? And because the girl was she said, ma'am, mujhe to realize hi nahi hua. Okay. So I said, okay. So I felt that they could patch up, So I said, okay, let's see, have a few meetings together. Then I started saying, meet without the lawyers. So they started meeting without the lawyers. I said, no, we are there now to protect you. We are there now to protect you. Started meeting, you won't believe me. After 6 months, they patched up. And they said, ma'am, we are done. We are patching up. They've had another daughter.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm off and on in touch with them.
Okay.
But they shared that news with me. So I think, yeah.
That's a good news.
That's a good news, and happy endings.
Happy endings.
I like that, because after all, Bollywood is also about romance.
Romance and
relationships.
Absolutely.
So it's
relationships can be worked upon.
Absolutely.
So चलिए अब सबसे important बात करते हैं पैसे की.
बिल्कुल.
यानी कि alimony की. There was a lot of news about like 10 years back that an ex-wife asked for about 400 crores alimony from her husband, या फिर 200 करोड़ की एलिमनी मांगी है, 250 की मांगी है, ये मांगा है, वो मांगा है, एलिमनी कैसे डिसाइड होती है और ये जो फिगर्स हम सुन रहे हैं ये कितने सच हैं?
Okay, so I think alimony is decided basically. I'll talk about the legal aspect and then I'll talk about what happens out of court. Okay, so legally there is a law which is set out by the Supreme Court of India. It is, and I advise people to read it. It's a long judgment, Rajneesh versus Neha. Okay, so in that they've set out quite a few pointers on deciding the alimony. Okay, like you have to give up your affidavit of assets and liabilities, you know. So let us assume that in this, I'll take your example of the Bollywood couple. So let us say if his net worth was 1,000 crores, okay, and his wife says, give me 400 crores, okay. So now what happens in such a case? Okay, is there a percentage fixed by law? No, there is no percentage fixed by law. So as a consequence of that, actually you can ask for any amount.
Okay.
You know, asking doesn't hurt. What you get
Hurts.
yeah, exactly. It hurts the guy, it doesn't hurt the girl. You know. So you can ask for 400 crores in an alimony. Okay, it's decided on your lifestyle. It is decided on what is the net worth. It is also decided on how many children you have. Let's say if you have 2 sons or 2 daughters, you know, you have to also provide for them. So there are a number of factors. But essentially, mota mota, it's what is your net worth and what is the number of dependents which are dependent on you. So if you have 2 children and an ex-wife, so that makes it like 3 dependents. And they also take into consideration if the husband is supporting his parents.
Okay.
You know, so that also comes into the picture. But since there is no percentage fixed, your negotiation becomes very important. So I feel that is the time you should either have family, friends, or great divorce lawyers to come and negotiate.
So whenever you've come across such high profile cases, have the husbands agreed for that amount?
Not initially, you know.
But the wives have gotten.
But yeah.
Okay.
So the numbers are not really untrue. I mean, these numbers which are being put out, some of them may be a little padded, but it's not like she got only 1 crore, but the number put out is 400 crores.
400 crores, okay.
You know, so it's that sort of a thing. Like, you know, if you see even international divorces, like Bill Gates, he's also given a huge payout.
Yeah.
You know, you even hear about Amazon head, Jeff Bezos, you know. He's also given a huge payout and he's getting remarried now in Switzerland. You know, no, not Switzerland, Aspen.
Okay.
You know, so all these numbers which are coming out is real.
Real.
And I feel that, you know, I mean, a lot of people feel that if you're at that level, why are you looking at a divorce? But, you know, like the heart wants what it wants. You know, dil to pagal hai. You know?
Yeah. Okay.
So it's that sort of a thing, you know.
Okay, so my next question is, what role do parents play in their children's marriage, in particular when the parents are powerful? Even in the film industry, we have a lot of powerful families, powerful parents, and then their kids are, I mean, there's a lot of buzz about the separation or
Correct.
anything else. So do you feel that that also adds as a pressure to the couple?
I think so, yes. You
Or
see,
their
because
interference is more?
interference also, I like to take into account the public accountability of the image. You see, so when you are, let's say you both are from Bollywood and both your children are also in Bollywood and you've got a daughter now who comes in from Bollywood. Okay, so now suddenly you've got 5 images which are public accountability. Okay, now nobody can be, you know, like a Kejo movie where everybody is happy.
It's all about loving your family.
It's all about loving your family and wearing matching clothes and, you know, what have you, perfect makeup. You know, so what happens behind closed doors, I mean, everybody is kind of like a normal family. It's just that the egos or the pride, I'm making a difference between the two, are so large that people feel that behind closed doors, I don't want to listen to anything. So any mere suggestion can also become like, I don't want to put up with this. Because you see, you've got it all. Why will you as a top-notch actress listen to your soon-to-be ex-mother-in-law that, you know, no, I think this is what you need to be doing. No, why should I be doing this? Look at the number of fans I have. You know, look at the number of
followers
I
have.
Followers, of course, you know. millions of followers. Look at the number of awards I've won. Do I need to be listening to this, or do I need to be with this family? Because my status and stature is also very large on my own. So you're seeing, so even if your families interfere, even a small interference becomes like, oh my God, it is such a big interference. You know, and you'll also see a lot of times the press, when I talk about public accountability, I'm not dissing the press or anything, you know, everybody's got to do what sells, you know, and also there's a lot of interest. So if I remove my ring, it's okay, Vandana Shah has removed her ring, you know, but if you have a top level actress, you've lost weight, you've sent your ring for resizing, arey baap re, where did the wedding ring go? Is she getting it this thing? Nobody will say maybe she sent it for resizing, या पहनना भूल गई, जरूर कुछ मैरिज में गड़बड़ है. You know, so that is the normal tendency of people. But you know, do parents interfere? I think parents, it works both ways. Like I gave you the example of where the family asked for a patch up, you know, and the other thing where I had given the example of the girl from who was acting in TV. There the interference was from the family to break the marriage.
Okay.
You know, just adding the mirch masala, and like all good relatives do. You know, so all the relatives always find faults. You know, so yes, it works both ways. When you are big, powerful families, it becomes very difficult to navigate that path. You know, it is a contributing factor. I mean, recently also you've seen large industrialists, that huge family, you know, with all the dhoom dhadaka in the marriage. I mean, hats off, I think, to the to-be daughter-in-law. You know, to be smiling through it all, it's hard. And then to go into a family, you know, you've got to make it through with everyone. You know, but I think also most parents want marriages to work.
Yeah.
You know, and they do advise that, okay, you know, I mean, let's overlook this, let's overlook this, let's overlook this. You know, so I think that also happens. And also in large families, everybody is busy. They also have their own public persona. They've got their own public commitments. So it becomes, maybe to some level, the interference levels are also lower.
Lower. Okay.
You know, so I feel that way.
Okay, so moving on. अभी हाल ही में एक TV actress बहुत ज़्यादा चर्चा में थी, न्यूज़ में थी. She was already divorced. She married somebody last year. She moved out of India. Came back in January. And then they've been putting a lot of stuff on social media जहाँ पर the husband says कि the marriage is null and void because वो तो legally separated ही नहीं थे अपनी wife से. तो जो यहाँ पर शादी भी हुई इंडिया में वो null and void है. तो काफ़ी सारा उनकी मैरिज में कंट्रोवर्सी आ रही है, इनफिडेलिटी का भी रीजन आ रहा है. आपका उसके बारे में क्या कहना है?
सो बेसिकली इफ यू डोंट मीट द क्राइटेरिया, तो मैं नल एंड वॉइड आपके टर्म्स से जा रही हूँ बिकॉज वो सबको समझ आ जाएगा, यू नो. बट एक्चुअली क्या होता है, इट इज एन इनवैलिड मैरिज.
Okay.
तो देर आर कंडीशंस ऑफ अ मैरिज. ओके, उनमें से वन ऑफ द बिगेस्ट कंडीशंस इज दैट यू शुड नॉट बी, आई एम टॉकिंग अबाउट द हिंदू मैरिज एक्ट. Okay, that you should not be having a living spouse. Okay, that means you shouldn't be technically married to someone else before you get into a marriage with someone else.
Okay.
Okay, तो let us say एक एक्ट्रेस का ही आपका ले लेते हैं. तो अगर उनके हस्बैंड बोल रहे हैं कि ऑलरेडी उनकी किसी और के साथ मैरिज वॉज वैलिड
और वो डिवोर्स नहीं हुआ
और उनका डिवोर्स नहीं हुआ था, so then this marriage has not met the conditions of marriage.
Okay.
तो वो marriage is invalid in the eyes of law.
Okay.
Okay, and there are a number of other conditions, you know, but the interesting part is if they had had a child together, so that child has the rights to the father's property.
Okay.
Okay, whether you are born out of a valid marriage or an invalid marriage. I'm using the legal terms. Okay, the child shouldn't suffer. And I feel that is a great judgment by the Supreme Court, where whether you are a legitimate child or not, you have a right to be a part of the father's property, inheritance, and so on and so forth. I think that's a really good judgment.
Okay, and what about like, I mean, it's very unfortunate, but divorce चल भी रहा है, but a lot of, I mean, एक्टर्स भी मैं बोल रही हूँ, आजकल नॉर्मल लोग भी सोशल मीडिया पे, इंस्टाग्राम पे स्क्रीनशॉट स्टोरीज लगाते रहते हैं, एक दूसरे को अक्यूज करते रहते हैं, नो सो एंड सो दिस हैपेंड, दैट हैपेंड. डू यू थिंक आगे चलकर वो कोर्ट प्रोसीडिंग्स में हैम्पर करता है?
एब्सोल्युटली. because that is a mental cruelty of sorts. And also, if you're in the public eye, it becomes sort of a defamation, grounds for defamation. अभी एक एक्ट्रेस अभी आई थिंक उन्होंने अपनी स्टेप डॉटर का ऐसे कुछ इतने काफ़ी बोला उनकी स्टेप डॉटर ने उनके बारे में, एंड आई थिंक उन्होंने अब डेफमेशन के लिए सू कर दिया है. सो यू कांट जस्ट पुट दिस आउट देयर. एंड आई मीन डेफमेशन इज रियल in India, as in anywhere across the world. तो you can't just if I'm a public figure, आप कल को जाके Instagram पे you put negative things about me which are not true. I can sue you for defamation.
Okay.
तो same जैसे वो actress ने किया है, अब she sent, I believe, a defamation notice against the stepdaughter. So I think it is a terrible way to do things. I think it is very undignified, and I think it makes you lose a lot of fans. You may get that initial sort of interest
And story views.
Yeah, and story views, but I think beyond that, and I don't think it bodes well for you even in court.
Absolutely, I agree to what you're saying.
Thank
and recently हमने एक divorce के बारे में पढ़ा social media पर, और fans को बहुत धक्का लगा. उसके बारे में काफ़ी कुछ कहा गया. Anything that you would like to add on that?
I just feel that a joint press release is a great idea. It sets aside rumor mongering, and I think it's a very dignified way of conducting your personal life if you are in the public eye. Much better than your putting out posts against each other and bickering, putting out your personal life out there. I think it's a very dignified way of doing things. It's heartbreaking, and I don't think most of the times I say that divorces are heartbreaking, because you came together for romance, and you build a life together, and then you part ways. It's not a happy scenario.
Right.
I mean, I talk about divorces as being the last option.
But when the marriage is of 25 to 30 years or 35 years, or so, then what's the first course of advice that you give to the couple?
Reconcile.
Okay.
Work out your differences.
Okay.
And in fact, Supreme Court also calls, a lot of differences which are known as the normal wear and tear of marriage. Let's say the husband and the wife, are irritated by minor things. They say smoothen it out. Don't come to us for this, because there is a normal wear and tear of marriage. You can't be smiling throughout 20 years. You have to bicker. You have to have differences. You're not sort of replicas of each other. Even if you were replicas, you can't be, having the same mood throughout. Now those are normal wear and tear of marriage.
Agreed.
What are not normal wear and tear are infidelity,
abuse,
adultery. Maybe abuse can be domestic, in terms of, not domestic, it can be financial, it can be physical, it can be mental, it can be emotional. These are not normal wear and tear of marriage. These wouldn't come in that. And I always tell everybody, sort it out first. Keep it within the four walls,
okay,
of your family, and see if you can sort it out. You got good friends, pull them in, see if it can be worked out, smoothen out the differences. Divorce is the last option.
Last option. Very well said. And again, talking about kids, I think kids are the most affected when their parents go through divorce and the proceedings, and again, they are very much affected and hampered because they see their parents are separating. So be it film industry or high profile cases or industrialists, what do the parents do to protect their children in terms of this when they are going through separation, or when the one person is already seeing someone else also?
So my experience has been, yes, children suffer. There was a couple where the husband is an actor, the wife is not an actor. Okay, the wife was spending more time with the child, and she was a homemaker, full-time homemaker. And, in that case, they had two children, okay? And the children didn't want to go to the father,
okay,
after a point, because they kept on saying, no, he doesn't spend time with us, he doesn't, and they were at that cusp, 11, 12, just when you are sort of on the brink of becoming teenagers, so I thought the wife handled it beautifully. she was very clear that I want my money. Okay, so make no mistake about that. Okay, but she actually coerced her children, nicely persuaded them. I'll cancel the term coerced because coerced is not good. Okay, she persuaded the children to bond again with the father. And she also convinced her husband that, look, we are now not together. That is fine. But I want us to take a holiday together. They went to Goa actually.
Okay.
And
like
they
the
said
actor,
the actor, the wife,
and the
both
kids.
the kids. And they bonded. And first the children, it was quite heartbreaking initially because first the children wanted to stay only in the mom's room. So then they took 2 adjoining rooms. And then dhire dhire by the end of that vacation of 10 days, the children were kind of staying together with the parents. The parents never reconciled. Okay, but at least both of them protected the children. See, even the actor, he also A, took out time. B, what a beautiful thing he did. He said that, okay, my soon to be ex-wife is saying this. Instead of just saying ki nahi, teko kuch nahi malum, you're telling lies just because we are going through divorce, why should I believe this? He didn't take that view. He actually sat down and listened. And, I was sort of mediating between them. And, I thought that worked out really good. We got her a good settlement. And they agreed to shared custody. Even the children were very happy. And, they move around the meetings of the children and the dad around his shooting schedule.
Okay.
So I think that's worked out really good. The children have not really suffered. But they are aware that our parents are no longer together.
Okay.
So that is something I think will remain for life.
For life, yeah.
But I sometimes feel that marriage which is abusive, that is not conducive for the children to live together in that. So at least over here, they're spending time with the dad. Okay, Papa is also happy. Spending time with the mom, Mama is also happy. So again, like a nice, good ending.
Absolutely. Okay, so again, since you mentioned about good endings, I want to you to tell us about one divorce, a high-profile divorce, which was an amicable divorce. We have heard this term a lot, and I mean there are a lot of couples that we see in the film industry also that the ex-husband and ex-wife are together, they are spotted at the events together, attending marriages also together, and probably doing Insta lives also. How true is that? Is it just for the public image or it's actually true? Have you ever come across a couple like that?
So I feel it is a combination of both. Okay. Once the pre-litigation, I keep on coming to pre-litigation for the settlement. Once that goes through, they choose to also put out a happy image. Because otherwise, you have a lot of press intrusion. And, let's be honest, and I mean, there is a lot of interest in celebrities' lives. So to avoid that, I think it is a good idea that they put out, like a happy image together. But let's not forget that if they were so happy together.
Then why aren't they together?
Then why aren't they together?
Yeah.
So that's why I said it's a combination of both. That okay, part of it is true, and also maybe after 3-4 years the pain also becomes lesser. So maybe it's a good idea to put out these Insta lives together, and they are co-parenting.
Yes.
So they have to, and also a lot of them have moved on and found
partners also,
who make them happy. But what I like is this whole blended family concept. So I mean, these two couples, and all the children of the couples going together on vacations together. I think that is also a great idea, especially if both are sort of interested in getting married to each other. If you're not, then don't involve the children that much. So I think that is also a great new concept which has come in. And I think they're so involved in each other's lives, in their new each other's lives, that I think they have moved past the acrimony and the children. So I feel that is this thing, but it's a combo.
Okay. So again, moving on, there was a lot of news and a lot of rumors, and we read a lot about them. A very powerful Bollywood couple, Abhishek Bachchan, Aishwarya Rai. Some people were saying they're not together or together, and then of course, I mean, it's not a great thing because nothing has come from them till yet. What's your take on that?
I think they are a great couple together. I think they're both great people. And I hope that that marriage will last forever.
Okay, that's very nicely put. Okay, so my second last question. In Bollywood or even in another industries that we are seeing right now, I mean, due to work constraints or due to whatever reasons, again, we did touch upon this topic that, I mean, people are friendly and a lot more friendly with their exes. They've given
Yes.
out statements, but now they are friendly because probably they are doing a film together.
Correct.
Or a brand endorsement together.
Absolutely.
And the spouses are also okay. Do you
Absolutely.
think this happy picture is actually true, or is it just for work, or does it have a possibility of affecting their marriage with their respective spouses?
I think you see, in the end, it is human nature. You know, would I like my ex to be,
I mean, I would never want that.
yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know? So at the end of the day, you have to put an end to it. You know, like some of the wives, you know, who become celebrities because they are married to superstars or
Stars.
brothers of superstars. You know, now they've moved on. Now, would their current partner, who's also, let's say, an industrialist, would he like his newly found love or newfound love to be so much in touch with her ex? I don't think so. And in fact, I know so. You know, but it sort of augurs well to put it out in the public eye. And like I said, it's a combination. You know, but if you were so happy together,
Then why aren't you together?
then why aren't you
So do you
together?
feel that all this image is not true? It's
Not
just
100% true.
okay.
It's not 100% true. But it's not like that they are like constantly at loggerheads, you know, because now that situation has gone, you know, but it is not 100% true.
Okay. So I think Bollywood se ab aage बढ़ते हैं, talking about the South film industry, and we have been witnessing a lot of divorces, though we
Oh,
witnessed
yes.
a great marriage also
Correct.
2 days back, and there was a lot of, I mean, divorce news also a couple
Correct.
of years back, और अभी भी हमने देखा
Correct.
alimony की भी बात उठी, कभी
Correct.
parents के interference की भी बात उठी.
Correct.
Your viewpoint on that?
You know, in the South, also in the South film industry, अभी मेरे पास एक केस आया है, and of course नाम तो नहीं लूँगी, वो तो आपको पता ही है, you know. But the father-in-law's net worth, this covers a lot of your topics. The father-in-law's net worth is 10,000 crores.
Okay.
Okay, so now the daughter-in-law has not filed for divorce. Actually, her husband has filed for divorce. That will be an interesting divorce to watch. You know, but there's a lot of drama in that divorce. You know, and again over here, the mother-in-law did not want the marriage to work.
Okay.
Yeah, you know, and it was crazy. When she came to me and she said, you know, ma'am, he has filed for divorce. I said, my God. And then she narrated about the marriage. I said, how did you all ever get married? You know, because everybody was so against the marriage, and the mother-in-law from the word go, I mean, she never visited her even once.
Okay.
She's not seen her grandchild more than 2 times. You know, so I think there is a lot of activity happening, divorce activity happening.
Down south also.
In down south also.
Also, I mean, we used to hear this back in 90s, and then we also heard this a couple of years back when very
Whatever,
powerful couple married. Like the in-laws were not in favor of her doing films or intimate scenes,
Correct.
or doing films after marriage.
Correct.
And even down south, there was a very cute couple that
Correct.
parted ways. So we heard these kind of things.
Correct.
She acted in an item number and all of that.
Correct.
Are these reasons true?
Somewhat.
Like the in-laws don't want the daughter-in-law who is an actress to work in films after
I mean,
marriage?
somewhat. You know, I mean, then it's like, okay, now you're in this family. Now, do you want to do this even now? You know what I'm saying? Do you want to do these kind of, maybe you were doing it pre-marriage, but you were then not a part of our family. Now, do you want to do these even now? You know, it's like how...
But the son is an actor.
Yeah, that's okay. So a lot of times it happens that, you know, that you may walk into a family and they may have restrictions on what they expect of the daughter-in-law. You know, and I mean, whether it's good or bad, I mean, I don't want to comment on that. You know, that is up to each family. But there are restrictions that they want to impose.
And there are restrictions in normal families also.
In normal families also, you know. But I live to see the day when there will be restrictions on the son-in-law. You know, I hope that day is coming soon.
Okay.
You know, but I think it is here. Even that day is here, because I see a lot of people coming to me, even from Bollywood, who say, no, this that my son-in-law is doing, it is not acceptable.
Okay.
Yeah. So I like hearing that.
So damads also have equal pressure as compared to the
बिल्कुल,
bahus.
बिल्कुल.
Okay.
You know, so equal हो गया वो.
Okay, so the equilibrium is maintained.
Is maintained.
And we have definitely talked about marriages, divorce, alimony, kids and a lot of high profile couples also. अब हम conclude करते हैं interview को. मैं आपसे जानना चाहती हूँ because आपके पास इतने couples आते हैं, you meet a lot of couples of all the age brackets, love marriage, arranged marriage or anything. I'm not saying like how to avoid divorce, but how to avoid that conflict that you don't have to see the court's face. अगर वो आप बताना चाहें तो.
I just want to say that, you know, पहली चीज तो you have to believe in communication. Okay, things go wrong, sort it out. Don't ever go to sleep angry, you know, with your partner. Just don't do that. Okay. Thirdly, you could, if things are going really bad, seek professional help. There is no shame in seeking marriage therapy.
Okay.
You know, I feel that India has now reached that stage. So they can seek marriage therapy, you know, go for couples counseling. And don't think of divorce as your first option. Think of divorce as your last option. Try and iron out minor differences. And please, for heaven's sake, speak to the families. You know, even before you get married, each family has certain sort of parameters of what they expect. Try and see if those can be sorted out or those fall within your parameters. If there are any minor differences, you know, try and iron those out. But see, I'm focusing on communication.
Yeah.
You know, but I feel that these are the things, and I won't use the term adjustment, but I feel treat your spouse as a friend. You know, we put up a lot with friends. You know, we forgive them a lot. So probably do that. And maybe have fewer expectations from your spouse. Your spouse doesn't have to provide for everything. You know, you can also have friends, you know, who can provide, let's say, a lot of emotional support. And, you know, don't expect the spouse to provide everything.
Be a friend, companion, philosopher.
Everything. Friend, companion, philosopher, banker, everything. You know, so don't do that. And rest. You know, try and work it out and don't just go and look for solace outside marriage. Adultery is not an option. You know, so I feel if you look at this, you can somewhat make your marriage work. And please have patience. I know, you know, all SM has to load really fast, but your marriage doesn't have to load that fast. Give it, you know, space for buffering. How you have, if you have a slow this thing,
YouTube video playing,
buffer, you know, so do that, and I think it should work out, you know. But divorces are on the rise, be it Bollywood, be it South film industry, be it high profile cases, be it non-Bollywood other cases. And like I say, the divorce is an unwanted house guest. You have to be prepared to let divorce stay. You can have big fat Indian Bollywood marriages and be prepared for a dhoom dhadaka divorce.
Okay, so that was really lovely chatting with you.
Thank you.
And we got some really good insights on
you.
marriages and divorce.
Thank you.
So thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me here. I had fun talking to you.
Likewise.